You are now listening to Serious Minds RN TV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RN TV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.
Are you ready?
Greetings. Man, his background is looking like somebody's doing some work that I am. All right, greetings, family. Once again, this is Professor Griff, and you're on Serious Minds RN TV. And tonight we officially call this Survive in Real Time with my man LP and my man Doc coming up in just a few minutes. Every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, we got a special show for you guys, as we do on Monday nights with the Melanin Mondays Medicine. All right, so tonight we're going to dive into one or two scenarios, and we're going to give you a bit of information that everyone is going to need. All right, we're going to start that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, between time, shout out to everyone on IG. Peace, what's good, fam? Shout out to everyone on YouTube. Shout out to everyone on Facebook and Periscope. All right. Quan, what's good with you? Shout out to Quan. I see Hadia Sekmet's in the building. Little Goddess, Shawnee Black. Where you been, Shawnee Black? All right. Quan does a marvelous job. And yes, LP, Quan is a woman. She's kind of short, but she's nonetheless, she goes by the name of Quan S. And Quan, the S means, doesn't mean short. It means something else. I forgot what it even means. Anyway, if you would like to purchase any of the Brain Tonic or Serious Minds Resurrection Formula, just hit a brother up. Go to www.professorgriff.me to order your Resurrection Formula and your Brain Tonic. All right. Really appreciate you, Quan. But I'm going to dive right into this show since we only have an hour, so we just got to make the best of this hour. All right, so we're going to dive right into it. So DEA agent, suspect killed in an Amtrak, kind of regular, sweep that they normally do, the search that they normally do on the train to make sure no one's carrying any illegal guns or drugs on the train. So before the train takes off, they kind of walk through with the dog, asking a couple of questions, whatever, and checking tickets, that kind of thing. All right. But in this situation, yeah, there was drama about to unfold. We'll dive into that in a minute. But in the meantime, let me bring up my two guests, and we'll dive right into this particular subject. Now, remember, we're going to be talking about putting together your IFAC, and they're going to go into in depth with the items, the 10 necessary items. If it goes way beyond 10, make sure you have a pen, piece of paper, and you're writing these things down. So while I bring them up as they introduce themselves, you guys grab a pen, piece of paper, and make sure All right, you are ready to take some serious notes. Peace. LP, Doc, what's good, man?
All right, Griff, what's going on, brother?
What's going on?
Larry?
Doc, what's going on?
Peace.
Yeah, so he gave up that couch. You see that, right? Yeah, I spoke in the Cuban cigar the other day. He's like, Anyway, for the people that do not know you guys, introduce yourselves, and then we're going to dive into this subject.
All right, Larry.
First.
I'm Larry Penton. They call me LP. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm a retired firefighter paramedic. Practiced for almost 14 years. I still have an active paramedic license in the state of Missouri, which is where I'm from, St. Louis. Relocated here in Charlotte last year during the major crisis that the world is dealing with right now. Started a company called Penton, Pending Consulting Solutions. We help new startup businesses get their foot in the door as far as licensing, LLCs, HR payroll, and we're venturing into some media side of the business, also podcasting and different things. And we're also working not only with Griff, but Doc on some Stop the Bleed training and first aid options.
All right, Doc.
Okay, my name is Dexter Peggins. On social media platform, I go by the nickname, I guess, Doc. And really, I'm not a doctor. That's just a carryover from the military. I spent 23 years in the Army as a combat medic, and in the military, combat medic to everybody is Doc. Basically, that's the first person you see providing you medical care. But anyway, started my company. It's called STEEL Standing LLC. Started the company back in 2012, basically focusing on providing emergency medical care training to folks in the community. And so that's what I'm doing now.
All right, and all three of us getting together. We're doing this thing called the First 48, December 12th. You will see the flyer, and you'll get the information as we come on, or as I come on every day, and as I bring these gentlemen on Wednesday. So mark that date, December 12th. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about an incident that happened in, I believe, Arizona, Tucson to be exact. It's a very tense and critical one, if I can say so myself. It's like being on a train and having to deal with that degree of intensity in close quarters. Whoo, that's really something to kind of deal with, man. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then a little bit later on, we're going to field some questions. All right. We're going to run through this, the IFAC, get to the meat of it, and then we want to field some questions from you guys. So as we talk, start preparing your questions, all right? So let me dive into this. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. All right. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. All right, here we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let's dive into this. Here we go.
A train station in Tucson, Arizona, erupting in chaos, an exchange of gunfire sending passengers fleeing.
There's two DEA guys up there that are in bad shape. We need to get them off this train.
A call for help as an armed suspect engaged in a shootout with 2 DEA agents and 1 Tucson police officer.
We can come up through the train just to the south of it, but we got to get them.
One of the federal agents killed on the train and the second seriously injured. The Tucson police officer also shot and now in stable condition. The exchange taking place after the agents from the Regional Counter-Narcotics Alliance boarded the train for a routine inspection.
They detained basically one individual And while they were dealing with one individual, a second individual, Hispanic male, by appearance, in his 20s to 30s, produced a handgun and opened fire on the officers.
The police chief now praising those officers.
The really heroic actions of the officers at the scene, who literally ran towards the danger into the car where there was an active shooting situation going on.
According to Amtrak, 137 passengers and 11 crew members were left unharmed.
Persons, and at that point, this was still a very active situation with the suspect still firing rounds.
Officials say after the exchange, the suspect barricaded himself inside the train's bathroom, where he was found dead by responding officers.
All right, Guad Venegas joins us now. Guad, the initial report.
All right, gentlemen. That's the basic stuff that's going to lead us into this particular conversation with actually putting together an IFAC. And we're dealing with it from the perspective of you being a passenger on a train, you working on a train. Not necessarily you're the bad guy or the police. We're taking that out, we're not putting that in your lap. You're on a train and you're traveling. All right. So we're going to dive into this conversation, and keep in mind, family, we're talking about survival, but we're talking about survival with everyday situations like this that are very, very real, so we can drive this point home. So what do you guys take on that?
That had to be a very chaotic scene. I couldn't even imagine being on a train, you're at a stop, or you're at a stop and you get these law enforcement officers coming on board, doing a routine check, and next thing you know, you're running, ducking, hiding for cover. We don't know if the shooter was aiming for anybody else other than the agents, because there were multiple gunshots on the train, as you heard. It's just a really chaotic and scary scene, because it's not a question of if, but when an active shooter hostage event is going to happen, be it at a store. Today, there was a story at a high school in the Arlington, Texas area about a fight that broke out. This wasn't even somebody that was coming into the school to do something. There was an 18-year-old man, allegedly, who was a student, got into a fight with another student and pulled out a gun, allegedly, and shot 4 people. So it's not a question of if an active shooter situation is going to happen. It's when and where. There's really no safe spots that you can go, because any place can be an active scene, any time of day, doesn't matter. The ethnicity doesn't matter. The financial capabilities of that person or those people. It could be in an urban area, suburban area, rural area. But specifically being on the train, there's not a whole lot that you can do. You're in one of the most confined spaces outside of a car or a plane. So
let me just correct something you said. You said most of the shots were on the inside. As we saw in the video, the guy stepped in the doorway and was shooting outside of the train.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. Outside.
Yeah. So those shots could have went anywhere, because I think only one of them hit the officer. So we don't even know where those other bullets are. You understand what I'm saying? So, Doc, take it, man.
I definitely agree with what Larry just mentioned in regards to, that's definitely would be a very chaotic event to be caught up in the middle of. When we talk about response, how to respond, how the everyday person should respond when caught up in an active shooter event. We talk about the Department of Homeland Security, what they call the run, hide, fight. And so in a situation like that, you ain't got too far. You pretty much jammed up. You on that train, you probably gonna be ducking for cover. Realistically, it's probably not a whole lot of cover on that train in the first place. And so you get just random gunfire taking place, and hopefully you're not on the receiving end of one of those bullets. But that's definitely would be a lot of chaos going on in a situation like that.
All right, cool. So now let's just say we do find ourselves on the train in that kind of situation, and two scenarios, and y'all can take them both. One, you've been grazed, and then two, your family member, your country cousin that just left the group home and you went to pick her up. She got grazed. Give me that scenario as we talk about what should be in your IFAC. And let people know what an IFAC is in case they're just joining us.
This is an IFAC, stands for Individual First Aid Kit. This is a tactical IFAC. And the reason it's called a tactical IFAC kit is there's a quick release. This contains supplies, a tourniquet, hemostatic agents, compression gauzes, chest seals, not the typical things that you have in a regular first aid kit. So this is a first aid kit specifically for an active shooter event, like what happened in Tucson, or the issue that happened today at the high school. If I'm the recipient of the bullet and I got grazed, and we talked about this last week on the show, the first thing that you want to do always is take care of yourself. That's not selfish to do that. It's just like being on the plane, as I said last week. You know, when those oxygen masks happen to drop, if they're dropping cabin pressure, you put your mask on first before you put somebody else's mask on. There are times that you have to be selfish, and that's one of them when it comes to your life versus the life of somebody else, be it a loved one, a stranger, a friend, family member. You take care of yourself first. So if you're grazed, which is a lower level injury, you go ahead and, put a quick dressing on it, direct pressure. You can put a hand on it, gloved hand if you have gloves on you, anything to stop the bleed. If it's a family member or a stranger, same thing. You kind of make sure everything is okay where you are, if you're safe. Like Doc said, you can't really conceal too many places. But if you feel you're in a safe place, go ahead and render aid to that stranger or that loved one.
All right, Doc.
Yeah, so once again, I agree with what Larry just mentioned. And what I would want to inject, like in regards to the IFAC, individual first aid kit. That was one Larry just showed. That was one type. This is another one that I have. I just kind of ripped it away from a attachment that allows you to attach it to a belt or a vest or something like that. And it basically has the same types of components. Tourniquet that we use to control serious bleeding on arms and legs, pressure dressing, chest seals, emergency quick clot for those that control serious bleeding from those areas we probably wouldn't be able to apply a tourniquet to. But, in a scenario like that, with those folks on that train, 9 times out of 10, they probably don't have an IFAC with them. But, if you do have one, you want the type of stuff you would want to have in that IFAC, once again, is geared towards dealing with serious life-threatening bleeding, arterial bleeding. Just like Larry said, if that was like you mentioned, you gave the scenario, Griff, a child and my long-distance cousin, my first priority is going to be to my child, close family member. And then, of course, I'm going to take care of my cousin as well. And just know that in a situation like that, it's still probably, the shooter who was shooting at the DEA agents, their focus was probably aimed towards the DEA agents. But that doesn't mean you might not get caught up in the gunfire on that return fire coming back into that train from those DEA agents. So you don't have a whole lot of cover, but you do want to do something. At a bare minimum, if you don't have an IFAC medical kit with you, is get direct pressure on that wound. It might be minor bleeding. A lot of times, depending on the extent of the bleeding, direct pressure may be all you need to do. But, once again, that's going to be dependent upon the injury itself.
All right, since you gentlemen basically both have personal kind of IFACs, let's talk about the top 10 items, or the necessary 10 items, not the top 10. Everybody, that's a misnomer. There's no top 10. Everybody's kind of have to custom make their IFAC for them. But can we go over it and toggle between you guys IFAC and give me the things that need to be the necessary things that need to be in an IFAC? What is number one?
Number one, and this is according to a book that I got. It's called First Aid for Gunshot Wounds. This is a pocket guide that I got from the U.S. Law Shield program that they offer through U.S. Texas Law Shield. They say they call it a blowout kit also. So you can call it an IFAC blowout kit, what have you.
Blowout?
I'm sorry?
You said blowout?
Blowout. That's what they call it. Blowout kit.
Okay.
Which is just another term for IFAC. So their recommendations are in this order: 2 tactical tourniquets. So we're talking about the Cat 7 or the SAM tourniquets. Second thing is 2 vented chest seals, because they do have unvented seals, but you want to get the vented ones so you don't have to burp it, and we'll talk about that later. At least one hemostatic gauze, at least 1 trauma dressing, at least 1 NPA with lubricating gel, which is nasal pharyngeal airway or nasal trumpet. And I'll show you what that looks like after I read this list. 1 compressed gauze, 2 pair of gloves, 1 pair of trauma shears, 1 permanent marker or Sharpie, and 1 survival blanket. 3 optional things that they recommend is a flashlight, 1-inch tape, and 1 resealable plastic bag.
Okay.
So this is a nasal trumpet. And what you do is you get some lubricating gel and you measure from tip of the nose to the corner of the ear, because they'll come in different sizes, but this is pretty standard. The only time you don't use a nasal trumpet on a patient or somebody that's injured is if they have a head injury, because if they have a head injury, it could possibly pierce the brain. And these are just rubber, basically. But you put it in the largest septum, and you just kind of rotate it in, and it looks like a little trumpet when you look at it. So that's why they call it a trumpet.
Okay. So pretty much like Larry just said, he called out some of those. Larry, are you still talking? I'm sorry.
No, pass it over to you, Doc.
Okay, cool. All right, so basically what Larry was talking about, those items he mentioned in his IFAC or in the recommended items, he talks about the Cat Tourniquet. That's what this right here is. It's still in the packet. This is by North American Rescue. CAT stands for Combat Application Tourniquet. Tourniquets are only used on arms and legs only. So if you have life-threatening bleeding coming from the arm or leg, that is the only place that you use a tourniquet. Now, when the way you presented that question, Griff, you said, what are the most important things to me? I would start off with the most important thing is getting some training, because, Larry showed that booklet, but there's a lot of folks walking around with IFACs and got all kind of stuff in it, don't know how to use it. So that would be number one, get training on the stuff that you got it, get trained on how to use it. So we talked about the combat application tourniquet, because our first priority when treating the injured is massive hemorrhage. We want to treat those massive bleeds. Larry, in those areas in which we cannot use a tourniquet, we use what one of the hemostatic agents gauze is recommended. It's called Quick Clot Combat Gauze. This is what we use to get to those like wound packs, certain areas, head and neck area, neck and shoulder area, armpits, growing, those areas that we're trying to control serious bleeding that we cannot use a tourniquet on. Another item Larry mentioned was chest seals. You know, we call that seal in the box. Anytime you have an open hole in that chest, you're not going to pack that because you got a lot of organs there that packing would affect the function of the organ. But you're going to place chest seals over those holes to keep air from coming through that hole, causing the lung to collapse. Another item Larry mentioned was the pressure dressing. This is what we call a North American Rescue Emergency Trauma Dressing. Can use to help control and manage bleeding. Our combat blanket or Mylar blanket used to maintain heat when a person, keep them kind of help manage shock, preventing the person from going to shock, hypothermia, the body core temperature starting to cool off. But one of the things I forgot to mention, which is at the very beginning, is those gloves. You should have in your kit, like Larry mentioned as well, people might call them examination gloves. Yeah, you got some in there, Griff. Yeah, they're in there. Yeah, so, and they need to be nitrile. Recommended nitrile, just like Larry have, and the nitrile gloves versus latex gloves. Very important because a lot of folks are allergic to latex. So you may not be allergic to latex, Griff, but you start working on someone, they making contact with that latex. Now they have an allergic reaction to it. And the other thing I would say in regards to the gloves, they should be light in color, not the tactical black stuff, because when you're doing your patient assessment, blood is hard to see on dark colored gloves. Like you got on, we on black stuff. Make sure those gloves are light so you can see that blood.
That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, there was some very key things that both of y'all kind of laid out. All right. So Quan just sent me the message and let people know, get your questions ready because we want to field some questions. You'll know the scenario that happened in Tucson, Arizona on the train with the marshals. The train didn't even take off yet. This was a routine thing that they do when they go through the train, just checking tickets and doing a routine check. All right. And then shots broke out. There were a couple of gentlemen, I guess, transporting whatever, doing whatever. All right. But deputy got hit. And they found the one of the perps in the bathroom dead. And I think they took one away. So listen. In that situation, if you were on the train, all right, and I'm not sure if Doc or LP did mention it or didn't mention it. The average person is not carrying this. So as I said last week, if we were trapped in that back room, is there an IFAC? Is there a medical kit? I'm sure on the train near the fire extinguisher, tell me if I'm wrong, then it might be a first aid kit. No? Yeah? By the door, on the box with the cross. No, we're gonna look that up.
Yeah.
So the question now, and I'm putting some pressure on y'all. The question now is, no one's carrying these, not the average person. So now you don't have this, and now you got to address that injury that you have, that graze you have, and your country cousin. Where are you gonna get these? Where are you gonna get these things from if you're traveling from Tucson to Boulder Rock, Butt Scratch, Mississippi?
That's when you turn into MacGyver. And the reason I say that is because as licensed medical professionals, Doc and I have learned not only how to use IFACs and things that are inside of it, but what do you use when you don't have anything? When you're on a train where, I'm not always carrying my they call it EDC, everyday carry. I don't always take that when I'm in Publix or when I go into Walmart or something like that. But I always have a knife on me, contrary to popular belief, everybody doesn't carry a knife. Not all old black men carry knives, but I do carry a knife,
What is your knife like?
Which one? Because I got many of them.
No, the one you talking about right now, the one you carry.
So this knife it has the fire department emblem on it. My knife is multi-purpose. So on my knife, I have a seatbelt cutter. So if you're trapped in the car, especially people like driving through standing water, which is a no-no, you can cut out the seatbelt. It has a window punch on the tip of it. You know, you want to punch the corner of the window, not the middle of the window, because I've seen people do that and they're like, the window won't break. It also, some of my knives, they have flints on them, so I can start fires if I need to start a fire. I have a knife that has a little flashlight on it. So I have multiple knives. I carry them, I collect them. So I always got some type of different knife.
Right. Now hold on. L, put a pause on that 1 second. What knife do you carry, Doc?
Mine are designed for combat operations. Yeah. You know, hey, that same blade that I use to cut you, it'll cut a seatbelt too. You know.
Man.
Yeah. So I carry that CRKT. It's got the, like I say, it's pretty much geared for that slash and dash stash type stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah, my thing is, I got like probably all of us. We have about 10 knives. It depends on what I'm doing today. You know, I had to go visit my friend up at his shop, so I kind of figured I needed this, and sure enough, I did. And you know, mine's like yours. I needed this because I needed to hook some wires, cords, whatever. For different knives, for different days, depend upon what I'm going to do. My everyday EDC kind of knife is probably something similar to yours, LP, because I need to get behind them and get rid of them. You understand? Be about my business. But anyway, finish what you were saying, LP.
Yeah. So when you have these knives, they can just come in handy, and you can just have different ones. You know, you just want to make sure that the knife that you have, that you know how to use it. Because again, just like the first aid kit, like Doc said, there's no point in you having a knife and not knowing how to use it, how to carry it, how to defend yourself. Because the worst thing in the world is to have a weapon and somebody take it from you and use it on you. You know, whether it's a knife, whether it's a gun, or what have you.
Right. Oh, okay. So now we're talking about on the train. We talk about using a first aid kit that's probably near one of the doors near the fire extinguisher, near the bathroom, as opposed to your IFAC. So now the incident went down. You got to address your what's the name? All right. I'm still waiting for the questions to come through. If y'all have any questions for these two gentlemen in reference to the body of work that we're laying out, please just put it up on the screen. I will check it out, and we'll dive into your question. All right. But so there is a difference then between an IFAC and a first aid kit, right?
Yes. An IFAC can be anything. It doesn't have to be a tactical first aid kit. You can have this is an IFAC right here. This comes from, I got this off of the FSA store, www.fsastore.com. It's called Marine 200, and it has 200 items in it. Real lightweight. It's probably maybe a pound or so. It has bandages, tape, gauze, gloves, aspirin, Benadryl, just a bunch of different things. No tourniquets, no chest seals, no hemostatic gauzes, no compression bandages. This is something that you can take on a camping trip. You can take it to one of your kids' birthday parties or something like that. You can keep it in the home. So there's different IFACs that you can have. You can create your own IFAC. You can make it out of anything. You can make it with anything. You can buy a lot of these ingredients or these items, I should say, at a Dollar Tree. You can buy them at a Dollar General. Not promoting any store. I'm just saying, any dollar type of store. for little to no money, all the way up to hundreds of dollars. And like I said, at the FSA store, if you have an FSA part of your insurance, use those funds because they will run out before the end of the year. So don't let that money go to waste. But you can create your own IFAC. I would say, and just to kind of answer your question from earlier, if I'm on that train and I don't have one of my first aid kits, I want to look for the first aid kit that's on the train. I'll ask the porter or another employee, where's your first aid kit? If they just, for whatever reason, don't happen to have one, I'm just going to take my knife out of my bag or out of my pocket and start doing some MacGyver stuff, rip a shirt or, you just look around for different items that you see available. And just depending on the injury is going to determine what you're going to use to treat whatever injury that you find.
Right.
Yeah, tagging along with what Larry just said, two things. First of all, in regards to if you didn't have an IFAC, which when you have that incident with that active shooter, that's when you would definitely incorporate improvised techniques as far as the things you would use to address or treat that wound. If you had the wound pack, for example, you could tear or cut clean strips of clothing, a t-shirt, a shirt, pack it down into the wound, something like that. You can make tourniquets as far as improvising tourniquets with a non-stretchable material long enough to go around the limb, at least 2 inches wide, with a device that you can use to turn. It could be an ink pen. It could be that pocket knife Larry had. Something that's not going to break on you is the main thing. If all you got is ink pens, you want to put like about 3 or 4 of those ink pens together and use them together. Don't just use like one ink pen or one pencil, because it's guaranteed it's going to break once you start tightening up that tourniquet. You don't want that to happen. So, in a case like that, you probably would go into improvised techniques. Our last session, Griff, last week, we talked about some of the things you should, just like, nowadays everybody's into carrying like, EDC, everyday carry, firearm, pocket knife. Get in the habit of carrying a tourniquet in your pocket and maybe a pressure dressing and a chest seal. You can stick that stuff in like a little quart-sized Ziploc freezer bag, throw it in your pocket. At the end of the day, take it out. But it's just something that's not going to take up a lot of room in your pocket, and it's easy to carry. Tourniquet, chest seal, pressure dressing.
Right.
And then in regards to the first aid kit, that's what I call scratch and bruise kits. Those kind of kits you need to have it. Growing up, your grandmother had one in the bathroom. Aspirin, eye wash, stuff that's going to treat little scratches and bruises. That's when I reference a first aid kit, primarily that's what I'm talking about. Those types of things that will treat like minor injuries.
Right.
But as far as the IFAC, primarily, if you hear me talking about IFACs, it's going to be geared towards treating trauma injuries, life-threatening bleed. So that's how I distinguish between the two.
Right. So we got a couple of questions. Kalaji wants to know. We're going to get to on the mic with Terrence Bailey. We're going to get to his question. But Kalaji, this is Griff, man. I've been trying to reach you, bro. Call me. See, you gotta call Kalaji out. Sneak up on him somewhere or something, man. Piggly Wigglies or something. But anyway, Kalaji wants to know, he says, Doc, with the CKRT, which one would you recommend?
Well, they got a couple. The one I got is called SFG 16. It's that SFG is like Special Forces, And matter of fact, I'll go grab it here in a second and just hold it up on the screen. I just don't have it with me right now, but it's got a Tanto type blade, and then at the tip, and then it's got a rigid section towards the bottom. But I'll, when we take a break, I'll go grab it and I'll bring it out later.
Both of you guys, the next question is, do you offer more in-depth training? So in short, let them know how to contact you guys and where you're going to be doing training at. And of course, December 12th, we're actually going to do a 3-hour talk. And hopefully you guys will support it and come on and check out the class where we're actually going to be doing the live demonstrations with some of these things. All right. So it's called The First 48. It's on December 12th. You will see the flyer next week. All right. So do you guys offer more in-depth training? So each one of y'all can give them your information and we'll go from there. LP, you go first so Doc can go get that knife.
Yes. Since I just retired last year, I have not done any type of training. I do Stop the Bleed as far as giving information about that to people. But right now, I haven't done any official classes. Doc and I, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be partnering together also with his Steel Standing company, and because Doc goes around and he'll talk more about that. And what we're doing now with Professor Griff is putting the information out there. So I'm just getting into it more because I was the street medic. I was working in St. Louis, in St. Louis County, on an ambulance and with the fire department and a private EMS service in that Metro St. Louis area. So a lot of my work came during that time when I was back in St. Louis. And so now with this company that I just started last year, Penton Consulting Solutions LLC, one of the facets of the consultation is consulting on doing things like this with other partners.
That's very interesting. Kind of be there on the front lines like that in the street, man. A fire medic like in the street. Wow, that's something you're seeing it firsthand. All right, Doc is black with a new haircut. Let's see what you got, bro.
Okay, actually I carry a couple. This right here is the CRKT. Okay. Guess you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
All right. This particular model is the M16 14 SFG. M16 14 SFG. That's one I carry. That's in the right pocket. In the left pocket, I got the Kershaw.
Woo!
You know, that's another one I carry. In the opposite pocket, because somebody might trap that right hand, and you got to come out with the left hand. So another particular model is called the Blur by Kershaw. Okay, and I got this from Kalanji and his crew over there at African Martial Arts School. Two is better than one. And this is another CRT model that I carry. It's like a sheath, fixed blade. And, it's called SICWI, SIWI. So, sometimes you got to dig in them different pockets and come out with different stuff. So that's pretty much what I carry. Right. And I normally have at least two knives on me all the time, one in the right pocket, one in the left pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Terrence Bailey Sr. asked the question, are there any products in either kit that a person with fish allergies shouldn't be used on?
Can we, Doc, they wanted to know also, before we answer Terrence Bailey's question, about your training, your Stop the Bleed training.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I give Stop the Bleed training on a regular basis, primarily in and around the Atlanta area. And pretty much you can reach me through my website or my email, which will provide that information, steelstanding7@gmail.com, steelstanding7@gmail.com. So primarily I focus in and around the Atlanta area, but I will travel outside the Atlanta area with the training as long as you got a group of at least 10 or more. Actually, 10 to 16. 16 is like the maximum class size. But I do travel around the country. Matter of fact, I'm headed up to Philly in another weekend or so. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
All right. So Terrence Bailey's question was talking about the allergies. Are there any products in either kit that a person with fish allergies shouldn't be used on? Meaning yourself or someone else, because you don't know. I guess you got to ask that question. If you're assisting someone else, are you allergic to anything? Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Before you render aid, I think you mentioned that already, Doc. But I think putting together your own individual first aid kit. If you know you're allergic to whatever, then that stuff should not be in your IFAC. That's why it's an individual kit, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Larry, go ahead.
No, go on.
No,
Okay.
I was yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to add to what Griff said. Not only is it individual for you and your training that Griff said you should have before you are using this on somebody, you also want to keep in mind, if I'm allergic to it, somebody else is probably allergic to it. Whether it's a drug, whether it's a medication, whether it's an item like a pair of gloves. That's why we say use the nitrile or the vinyl, the non-latex gloves. One of the hemostatic gauze is the Silox trauma gauze. Has an ingredient called chitosan. Is derived from shellfish. And basically what it does is when it gets wet from the blood, it turns into a gel, and that gel is what helps stops the clot. Well, studies have shown, and I've done some research on it, that there's no reported cases of anybody having an allergic or anaphylactic, which is the more serious, life-threatening reaction to the chitosan in the Silox trauma dressing. So to answer the question, don't have anything in there that could possibly be an allergen to you and or to a potential patient. And as far as the tactical and the individual smaller bags that we have shown you guys, those ingredients or those those items, I don't know of any issues with them as far as maybe the Benadryl. Some people are allergic to Benadryl. You can add another antihistamine instead of that. But even with that, somebody might even be allergic to that. So you have to be just aware of those things. But typically, no.
Yeah, tagging along with what Larry just said there, Griff, yeah, primarily a lot of times you'll hear about the Silox. That's that hemostatic agent that's made with the shell, like skeletal from shellfish and stuff. Just like Larry mentioned, when you look on the manufacturer's packet, it says it does not cause any type of allergy for folks who might be, we'll say, allergic to shellfish. So it actually even says that on the manufacturer's packet. So, I'm sure they don't want to put their stuff in a bind in a situation like that. And I seen somebody had a question. I was just looking at Griff. They asked about what state do y'all carry knives in?
that was Senior. He says,
Yeah,
what
okay.
is all in that y'all can carry knives?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's in addition to that other stuff you carry in your pocket,
That's why it's called a weapon permit.
Yeah.
Gun permit. No, it's a weapons permit. The thing that falls up under weapons it's simple. We just need to stop for a second, take a deep breath, and read the fine print. That's all. So do you carry anything like an ID bracelet letting anyone know you save lives?
Yeah. As far as that ID bracelet, basically what I think that question, and because I seen Larry had disappeared for a second, but basically what that question is really, I think, is geared towards when you're responding to treat someone. One of the things what you're doing when you do your patient assessment, you check for ID bracelets, like it might like have identifying like they might be allergic to certain things. So basically those medical bracelets and those medical necklaces some people wear, that's more for the responder that's getting ready to provide the care, and not you as the responder. So that's one of the things you would want to check on that person when you're doing your assessment. Looking for medical bracelets or ID tags or something that may identify them being allergic to something or having a certain type of medical issue. Larry?
Yeah, to answer I believe his name is Muhammad's question, I do carry identification in my wallet. So when I was working in St. Louis, one of the things that my company offered through the state of Missouri was a badge. So in my wallet, which has a badge holder, it has state of Missouri emergency services, and has my paramedic number, which is listed on the bottom. So anybody that's a paramedic, their license number begins with a P. So you'll hear people say, "What's your P number?" If you're EMT, you're EMT basic, so they'll say, "Well, what's your B number?" But typically, I keep my badge in my wallet. So if I am ever in a situation like that, I can pull it out, and that way, if law enforcement were to approach me and they see I'm doing patient care, or if they needed help, I can say, "Hey, I'm Larry Penton, I'm a paramedic. Here's my badge. What can I do to help you guys out?"
Yeah, so I think I misunderstood that question. So yeah, Larry, I got you. Now, as for me, I don't carry anything, so I'm just telling you, hey, I'm here to help. You tell me to back up, I'm gonna back up. But I'm not an active firefighter or paramedic. I'm not active. So, and I definitely don't have any kind of identification on me, identifying me as any kind of healthcare responder or anything.
Right. Last question. And I think, Doc, you and LP can answer it because we only have 5 minutes left. Didn't I tell you this hour was going to go quick?
Yeah.
All right, Doc. Katrina Hill says, "Doc, what should we do if the casualty is unconscious but breathing? When should you place a person in a recovery position? Could you explain a recovery position?" So both of you guys can tackle that as we give out information out where people can contact us on our way out the door.
Go ahead, Doc.
Okay, so basically, placing a person in, I think the medical term is lateral recumbent position. But basically what it is, you're placing them, if the person is unconscious but still breathing, and they don't have really anything else going on that may impede you from placing them into that position. Basically what it is, you're placing the person on their side. In many cases, depending on the injury, if, say for example, they had a chest injury, and you just got done treating an open chest wound, you would want the injured side down, closest to the ground. But basically the position that you're placing them on or in is a position in which they're going to be laying on their side, arm extended out past their head, elbow and knee making contact with the ground so they don't roll over onto their stomach. And what that does, it allows them to maintain an open airway. And also, should they start throwing up or something like that, they don't regurgitate that vomitus back down into the airway. So, rather than leaving that person laying on their back, tongue gets relaxed, falls to the back of the throat. It can impede the airway. If they start choking or vomiting, they may suck the stuff back down into their airway. But placing them in the recovery position, which is just one of the positions, it helps to alleviate that problem. Yes.
This is the recovery position. This is a patient. Sorry, I'm trying to. Okay. I'm moving it backwards, but so that patient had a survival blanket on in the first picture, but that's basically the left lateral recumbent position that Doc was talking about. I will add to what Doc said. You want to place that patient with the greatest amount of care in mind, because one of the things that is a contraindication or something that means that you wouldn't do it would be if that person had a spinal injury. You always want to maintain C-spine. So basically you're holding that person's head while they're laying there because you don't know if they have a spinal injury, either in the neck or the back or both. and you can potentially cause damage, even permanent damage, meaning paralysis, if that person has a C-spine injury. So if you're going to lay hands on somebody, you always want to maintain some type of C-spine, even if you use your knees right at the corner of your legs to put their head between your knees to make sure that their head is not moving. If you do suspect a C-spine injury, and a lot of times they won't be able to move their arms or their legs or what have you. But if they're unconscious, of course, they're not going to be doing anything. So it's just something that you have to keep in mind if you're going to move a person, especially in the left lateral, because that's where other people on the scene, bystanders, can help you. You know, if you want to go ahead and put them in that left lateral position to prevent them from aspirating or vomiting or swallowing their vomit into their airway, you want to maintain C-spine. So you're just basically holding their head and then you rotate. And you're just keeping that until EMS arrives, because they'll put a C-collar on that person.
See, on December 12th, we'll get a chance. You guys send me your presentation. I can put up everything on the screen so people can see it as we explain this. And this is the importance that we have this particular 3-hour class that we're going to have. We encourage people to sign up for the class. That information will be available to you next week. We got to close this one down. Gentlemen, give the people your information, how to contact you, what products you have to sell, what classes you got, or whatever. All right.
I can be reached at on my website, www.pentonpending.com. It'll be listed at the bottom. It's pentonpending.com. Also, you can email me. It's on the website, consultantsolutions@pentonpending.com. All of my social media listings are on the social link on that website, as well as the phone number and contact information.
All right.
Okay. I can be reached at steelstanding7@gmail.com. That's my email address, and that's STEELSTANDING7@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm at steel.standing, STEEL.standing. And also, as far as classes, I got a class actually in the Atlanta area coming up here real soon. I'm going to be posting it. I believe it's going to be on the, I think it's going to be on 23rd of October, matter of fact. But anyway, just that's how you can get in touch with me if you're interested in getting some training.
All right, cool. So now, family, when you see those pictures and that footage of Tay, Day, Peanut, Twan, one of them, Junior, going down, or bleeding out, whatever, and you see the grandmama or the mama hugging, somebody done shot my child. Rather than doing all that, at least we're giving you some tools to put in your toolbox so you can come to that individual's aid. I want to thank you guys for coming on Serious Minds RN TV. This is Survive in real time with Professor Griff, LP, and of course Doc. Thank y'all brothers very, very much. Really appreciate you. And we will talk before next week, but y'all be safe, be well, man. All right.
Till next week. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
All right. All right, family. It's been a very, very interesting hour, very quick hour. Goddess Vibes 8888. Give thanks, Queen. Really appreciate you. There's some vital information that we need every single week, along with what we need on Melanin Mondays medicine. We need to know how to stay healthy. We need to kind of talk about the trauma situations, whether we need building in a personal first aid kit, which is an IFAC. I think Doc has these for sale. But anyway, build your own. Have your family come together, go online, build your own. Everybody get one. All right. Until next week, fam. Matter of fact, no, I will be coming on tomorrow, inshallah. All right. Once again, shout out to Carl Nelson for the Carl Nelson Show. Shout out to Quan. Shout out to the Serious Minds family. Shout out to Mr. James Johnson. All right. Shout out to my Queen Soleil and the family in Kansas City. All right. Oh, Kalanji, call me, bro. You're killing me, bro. I mean, what do I got to do? You know what I'm saying? He owed me $3. I think he's just trying to, duck me. Give me the $3, man. You can pay me in food stamps, bro. It's Professor Griff. I'm out, man. Serious minds for serious minds. Seriously, man. Yeah, I'm going to have to find Kalanji. I'm going to have to get Bella Goon, somebody, find this dude. This dude's just like, just shirking his duty and responsibilities. Now he got the morning show happening, the revolutionaries, and he don't care about us folk no more. That's sad. See how we get treated? Black people. See what y'all do.
In today's climate, being safe is priority number one. With crime on the rise, we're all left with this magical question. How can I be safe and protect my family? Well, Professor Griff is offering a course that's similar to laser tag, but it's for adults. This safe and firearm-free course will train you in real-life scenarios so that you can avoid being a victim. This course is growing in popularity as a date night out. Add fun and excitement back into your love life, and the reviews are incredible. For more information, call this number below.